What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me. I'm a little bit later than normal on a video today, but I've been waiting, hoping something was going to happen in the L'Jarius Sneed avenue of things, and nothing has really came about. There's been really no news at all throughout today. So today, I want to talk about what's happened in the division over the first week of free agency, starting with the Houston Texans, where you talk about guys that they re-signed. You have Dalton Schultz, which is an important piece for them. Ty Fairbairn, their kicker. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they have Chris Boyd, Eric Murray, Desmond King, and Khalil Davis that they re-signed. They also went ahead and brought back Noah Brown on a one-year deal. Okay, and the last person that they signed is somebody they re-signed, which was a tackle, Charlie Heck. Okay, then you go through and look at guys that they signed, not re-signed, guys that they signed. Okay, this is a team, Houston Texans. They had a lot of guys that were free agents after this past season. A lot of guys that they had on one-year deals in 2023. So they had to sign a lot of guys. They re-signed a good amount. Now they have interior defensive linemen Foley, Fadukasi, safety Lonnie Johnson. They also signed Jeff Okuda. A lot of people know that name, cornerback that started his career with the Falcons. Danico Autry, a name that a lot of Colts fans will know. He's in Houston now, just getting passed around the AFC South at this point. Then another cornerback, Mike Ford, on a 2-year deal. Then some other names that other people will know is Azeez Al-Shaair, who's been with the 49ers. They signed him to a 3-year deal. Tommy Townsend, who's a name that we talked about earlier in this offseason, the Colts possibly going after if it wasn't going to be Rigoberto Sanchez. Okay, and then Delshon Phillips, David Sharp, and Tim Settle. And then the big name for the Texans throughout this process, of course, Danico Autry's up there, but they also went out and got Danielle Hunter on a 2-year, $49 million deal with $48 million of that being guaranteed. So Texans, who won the AFC South last year, they're out here making moves, bringing a lot of guys in. They're spending money this year, some guys on 1-year deals, but they have more guys this year going on 2-year deals and 3-year deals. So, trying to set things up to have a little bit of success while they have CJ Stroud on his rookie contract. And you can see with the way things are set up with a lot of these guys that it's meant for there to be a lot of salary cap open up by the time they're ready to give CJ Stroud the next contract. Okay. Now they also went out and got by trade Joe Mixon from the Bengals. And they also went ahead and ended up giving him a new contract. So the draft capital and giving him a contract to bring Joe Mixon in. The way the running back market is, and as many running backs was available. And the fact that they could have just waited till Joe Mixon hit the open market because the Bengals were going to release him. Like that's all good for the Colts. So the Texans doing a lot. They signed a lot of people. Then you look at what the Colts have done, where we extended Jack Anderson, extended Zaire Franklin. Those were the first 2 moves we made. And then, of course, re-signing Michael Pittman Jr., who probably would have never been tagged if he wasn't on vacation and wasn't able to be back here to sign the deal that the Colts had for him. But he does get re-signed. Tycon Lewis gets re-signed. Grover Stewart re-signed. Rigoberto Sanchez re-signed. Kenny Moore re-signed. Ronnie Harrison re-signed. Kennard Avery re-signed. And Trey Sermon re-signed. So for the most part, Colts just doing a lot of things from in-house. Okay, now the 2 signings coming from outside the Colts building was Raekwon Davis, 2 years, $14 million, coming from the Dolphins, adding somebody that can really come in and fill a space when Grover Stewart isn't there, somebody that can split time on that defensive line, somebody good to add to that defensive line rotation. So signing that I am a big fan of. Again, 2 years, $14 million. And then, of course, Joe Flacco coming in, being the backup quarterback to Anthony Richardson going into 2024, somebody with a bunch of experience, 1-year deal, $4.5 million. I really, really like that signing. So the Colts, again, doing a lot of things in-house, haven't really done anything since Trey Sermon, but I feel like for the Colts, it's really just waiting to see what's going to happen with Sneed. Are they going to continue down this path, or are they going to move on? So we'll see what happens with L'Jarius Sneed. Do they make that move? And if they don't, what else do they decide to do? Because the cornerback market is kind of at a screeching halt right now, waiting to see what happens in that department. Okay, now with Jacksonville, they released a couple people in Foley, Fadukasi, Darius Williams, and Rayshawn Jenkins. They also franchise tagged Josh Allen. Okay, so they lose a little bit of talent, but retain some talent. Josh Allen, very good, able to have him on the franchise tag. Then they went and they re-signed guard Urza Cleveland, safety Daniel Thomas, and interior defensive lineman Jeremiah Ledbetter. And then a move that I think a lot of people are glad that the Jaguars made, at least those of us in the division, giving up any sort of draft capital for Mac Jones is great. Having him come in, maybe, are they not confident in Trevor Lawrence and what he can be? Is there going to be a quarterback controversy? Probably not. It's probably Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones is going to be the backup there, but they had to give up draft capital. That's great news. And when you look at it, Mitch Morse, they're able to sign him, a really good center, so locking up that offensive line. And really, all the free agents they brought in are names that most people will know. Casuals might not know it, but a lot of people will know these names, right? Wide receiver Gabe Davis, safety Darnell Savage, wide receiver Devin Duvernay, cornerback Ronald Darby, a nice depth piece at cornerback, especially when you lose Darius Williams. Right? They re-signed Ernest Johnson and they signed Eric Armstead, really good interior defensive lineman for 3 years, $51 million. So they are active, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars are active, trying to bring in different types of talent. Right now, they're wide receivers. They have Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Devin Duvernay. So they're obviously going to be looking to get wide receivers. A lot of people looking to get wide receivers in this upcoming class. And who knows, maybe Jacksonville will give up more draft capital and try to move up in this draft to get a wide receiver. If they continue to sell out and lose draft capital, I'm okay with every bit of that. Okay, but then you look at what the Titans have done throughout this offseason. They re-signed their long snapper, Morgan Cox, and they also re-signed their kicker, Nick Folk, and re-signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akina. They also very recently released tackle Andre Dillard. Okay, but in terms of people that they signed, running back Tony Pollard from the Cowboys on 3 years, $24 million. Center Lloyd Cushenberry, who's good at what he does. Cornerback Chidobe Awuzie, who people were talking about, Colts fans saying, hey, let's bring him in. I wouldn't have been mad at that. He's a good cornerback, and he ends up at the Titans. Kenneth Murray Jr. signs a contract. Linebacker signs a contract with Tennessee. Also, Sadiq Charles, a guard, signing a contract with Tennessee. And then last moves here, our quarterback Mason Rudolph signing a 1-year deal with the Titans, and Calvin Ridley on 4 years, $92 million at 29 years old, signing a deal with the Tennessee Titans. So Tennessee, not very active. They bring some names in, right? Brought some talent in. Tony Pollard, Lloyd Cushenberry, Chidobe Awuzie, Kenneth Murray, Calvin Ridley. They definitely brought some talent in. So we'll see just how much better they're going to be able to be, right? Having Will Levis as their starting quarterback. So right now, as it stacks up in the division, Houston making the most moves. They kind of had to, though. They have, the most space to fill on their roster, but they've also been the most active, brought a lot of guys in from outside the building, right? Bringing in different types of talent. They're able to re-sign guys like Kai Fairbairn and Dalton Schultz, but they were also able to bring in a bunch of different guys, right? They bring in Jeff Okudah, who's been up and down in his career, Danico Autry, Azeez Al-Shaair, Tommy Townsend. Punters are a big deal. Bringing him in is a big deal. He's really good. They traded for Joe Mixon. They brought in Danielle Hunter on a big deal. So Texans bringing in a lot of talent, looking to try to win the AFC South again, whereas the Colts have brought in a lot of their own guys and then brought in a couple of backups, right? That's just the name of the game. Even though I like the guys that we brought in as backups, the guys that we're bringing in from outside the building are back up. So hopefully there's a deal for L'Jarius Sneed soon. If not, hopefully they move on to something and start to try to do something else. And hopefully something gets done. That's really what we're looking for. Just need to try to get better. We can't let the Texans start to create a bunch of space between us and them. So we'll see what happens. If there's anything else that happens, of course, I'll let you guys know as soon as I possibly can. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and have those notifications turned on so that you can get notified when any of those videos do come out. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.